Well, hello and welcome to Life Screenings, International Short Film Festival. We're here with Shayla and Mary's over there too. Hey, Mary. Mary just dropped in. This is a virtual and a live a film festival. Today we're going to be showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll be showing 5 films. And since you're here, Mary, and you have no problem talking to me, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, and Shayla, you
I'm
and I.
interactive.
We're interactive.
Actually,
So you all will be my co-hosts today.
Oh my. Well.
And
Closer than Enzion Film Festival.
right. We're also going to bring in some film makers. We have Chad and Catherine. We have Walter. Some really cool movies. Chad and Catherine, you all are with what film? Did I see what film? Is it Supermoon? Just give me a thumbs up. Supermoon? Yes. You guys are gonna love this.
Yeah.
Supermoon is incredible. And then we have Walter. Walter is with the incarceration in Michigan, correct? Yep, perfect. Hi, welcome. Come on in. What is your name? Leanne, join us.
Ilian.
Ilian.
He was incarcerated in Michigan?
No. It's a documentary about incarceration in Michigan. So what is this? This is Life Screenings, International Short Film Festival. You can sit anywhere you want. Yeah. And I like to show films that show a world that I want to live in, or films that will spark a conversation. And a lot of these films will spark conversations. So what we're going to do, show 5 films. I'm going to show a film, and if the filmmaker's there, which we have 2 of the filmmakers now, I'll bring the filmmakers in, and we'll be able to see them right here, and you'll be able to actually interact with them.
Good.
Ask them questions, where they came up with the ideas. So yes, by all means, this is a conversation. This is not a dialogue. Or a monologue. Do not make me do all the talking. Okay. All right. So what do we do? I get all these films from Film Freeway. Film Freeway is a hub for filmmakers and for film directors and film festival directors. And this is I'm in the job of a film festival director, bringing in films.
That's hard.
I watched 21 films. We chose 5 of them. So that's about the ratio of films. Sometimes I find gems. You'll be seeing one, Supermoon, I loved. And we'll be you'll find other ones that don't make the cut. But to be in the festival is the biggest honor.
Sure.
So I don't give prizes of first, second, third, fourth.
So is this a local festival? Or?
These are from films from around the world. So I received one from Australia, which I'm not showing. I did not get it in time. And I get them from China. I get them from South Korea. I get them from all over. One of them is from Michigan. And then I think, Chad, yours is from, don't tell me, Tampa, Florida?
Wow.
Yep. All right.
Almost local.
So let's get started on the first one. So let's get started. Here we go.
Hey, sweetie, look. It's a rubber pencil.
How do you know if you're a good person?
It's kind of a big question. Normally from you, I would have expected, Dad, how do I know if I'm in love with a boy?
I'm serious.
Okay. Well, short answer, whether or not you're capable of self-governing.
I don't understand.
Okay. You want to go shopping?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go shopping.
Cool drone shot. Wow.
Are we going in?
Take a look around. Tell me what you see.
I see cars and people.
That's right. Now, how many abandoned shopping carts do you see?
4, I think.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Employees not doing their jobs.
You asked me what makes someone a good person, and I told you the ability to self-govern. The shopping cart is the perfect litmus test for determining whether or not somebody is capable of self-governing. When you're finished with the shopping cart, the correct thing to do is to return it. It doesn't cost anything, it's easy, it doesn't take that long, and you're not going to get in trouble if you don't. On the other hand, there's no reward for putting it back either. You don't get a pat on the back, nobody sees it, nobody cares. Returning a shopping cart is a true test of self-governance, whether or not you're capable of doing so. No one's making us do it. A person who can't return a cart and leaves it for somebody else to clean up is not much better than an animal, driven only by what's convenient or enforced. It's almost like they need rules and threats just to act with basic decency.
So it's like a little test to see if you do good things just because?
Exactly. Doing good when no one's watching, that's a big part of being a decent person. If someone has to be pushed, forced to do the right thing, well, it's like living without principles, without a conscience. That kind of person would be lost without rules. Someone who puts the cart back, they're capable of doing good for the sake of good. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Good. Stew on it for a bit. Let's go grab what we need. Well done.
You know, I thought I'd get something like good feeling or something.
So you were looking for a reward?
Yeah, I guess.
It's a good start, but keep in mind it's about doing it because it's the correct thing to do.
I'm not ready for this whole being a good person thing.
Takes time. You don't become a good person overnight.
Are you a good person?
It's a question I ask myself every day. I don't know if I'm a good person. Maybe. But I think about the shopping cart, and I try to live my life accordingly. I think that's all we really can do. Just keep trying, no matter how many times we get it wrong.
And that was the first one. What'd you think?
I thought it was great.
I thought it was great too.
It's interesting. I mean, makes you think a little bit.
It does.
I see those all the time and I think anger. Why are these people so angry?
Well, if you go to Aldi's, you do get a reward
Well, we-
because you
Yeah,
put that.
Yeah.
They make you be a good person.
But I see them coming from Publix to the bus stop, they leave them at the, left at the
Right.
bus stop.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
people,
But they talk about decency, they talk about reward, which we talked about. Yeah, the whole concept of just decent, what is good.
Well, I like this kid felt like she could just say anything that she wanted to her dad. I think that's a really good illustration of how it's supposed to be with parents and
Mhm.
kids.
Yeah.
I love that.
And the dad didn't know if he was a good person or not.
Well,
so.
dad just being real.
Yep.
He didn't really stand on a soapbox and give his lecture.
Yeah.
He didn't put the word should. That's big.
Yeah.
It's just hard to do with your kids. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next one. So what we do is once a month, life screenings shows films from around the world. This will be our last time at the Winter Park Library. I've been here 8 years.
where are you going?
Where am I going? I live
Get back home.
I live north of here in Claremont, and they have an art gallery slash art
Really? A space?
a space,
Really?
and they've allowed me to come to
Cool.
it.
Oh, how
Good
cool
for
is
you.
Yeah,
that?
yep. So
Now, is that in Claremont proper, or is it more by you? Or
no, downtown Claremont. So
Okay,
it's a good
beautiful.
little thing to build. So I'll be there. I'm also, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, working with Lake County Conservation Council. They're having an environmental film festival out there.
Oh my goodness.
Similar to this setup, however, it's going to be all environmental films.
Wow, so people, they heard about you and they recruited you, or?
I'm in the club myself, so
Okay.
yeah, they heard about me. Yeah, they heard about me. I
I just found out about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, me
8
too.
years. Where you been my whole life?
Me too, yeah.
Is anybody taking your place? I mean, I
No.
know you're very
Okay.
replaceable.
Not here. I don't know what they're doing here, but I just let them know this was.
They have a slate of things.
Yeah, they
We're
do.
fortunate here. If you
They
read
do have the
program,
teen film festival.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our next one and enjoy.
You'll still stream so we can enjoy you from over here.
Yes, or you
Yeah.
can come visit me
Yeah.
too.
Find your song and follow your path, and find solace in the fact nothing ever lasts. We're all streams heading to the same place, all just stardust that fills the space. Am I strong enough? Of course. Answer's always within La Force. The wave kind of pass on. We're just there for a bit, and that's all there is. You don't have to cling on or anything.
That was cool.
People of the
That was
Water.
awesome. That's really a different kind of a surfer movie. That was really, really cool.
Short, sweet. My understanding, this is from Australia. My understanding, they used film in part of it, and I think video too. All the fuzzy stuff was probably done with film, actual film.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they don't use film. Everything is shot pretty much on video.
I saw the old fashioned.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anything that you see on TV, on your phone is not film.
Yeah,
If
it's
you go to a
digital,
movie theater, you'll see that on film. But some of that is still video.
That's great. Yeah. The planing of the surfboard is a big part of it. It keeps people are really
Well,
into it.
You're a surfer.
Well, I was married to a surfer, and my kids all surf.
Yeah.
And I've actually walked on the board a couple of times, but I fell a couple of times that were just like, I'm like, okay, I don't need to do this.
It was a great
I hit
metaphor.
My elbow carrying the surfboard. Okay, I'm done.
It-
But boy, oh boy, it was great.
Yeah, the metaphor of kind of like we're just passing through time.
Yeah.
We're getting on
Catch the wave.
a wave. We're on a
It's done.
wave
Yeah,
and we're going.
that's right.
So I
So many great metaphors there. Just fantastic.
right. So let's move on. Let's move on to Supermoon. Enjoy.
You okay, B?
All good.
Sure.
Yeah, about to shower.
Did you eat anything today?
Maybe.
I'll make you a quesadilla.
Stay in the present.
Did you say something?
Are you making fresh pico?
What kind of barbarian would serve you jarred pico? Superman tonight. Brother wants us all to take pictures.
I saw the family text.
Talk about your day.
I'd rather hear about yours.
This was pretty much it.
Pico tastes amazing.
Read about these high sea turtles. They're thriving with less tourists on the beaches.
Yay for the planet. Humans ruin everything.
You need a vacation.
Sure do. But we can't go to Thailand. Gonna mess up thriving.
Maybe one of the less turtle risk lands.
Switzerland? I don't think we can harm sea turtles in the Alps.
We should really do this. It's beautiful.
I don't think they'll let us in.
Yeah, but like a year from now. You know, when things are different.
Sounds dreamy.
Let's manifest it. Pick a date.
September 28th.
Late summer. A shoulder season. Excellent choice according to voters. All right, so September 28th, around 6 p.m., get a drink from this guy
Absinthe. That's a Swiss thing, right?
on ice, straight from the Matterhorn.
top of the water cycle kind of ice. Moon.
It's really pink and bright.
It's so bright. I can barely see the stars.
Oh, I chase the moon. You know I've tried. Each time I tried, each time I fail. Each time I get so down on myself, and I can't stand this pace of a snail while the rest of the world is pale salt and I. You know that I know that I can probably never be the same. 'Cause you light up the night just like the moon, just like the moon. You light up the night, and sometimes I only get a sliver of you, but I'm hoping for a full moon tonight.
And we are back. Wow, what a movie.
Was
Yeah.
that the hint at the end that she was a healthcare worker and guidance?
Well, let's find out.
Oh, you can find out?
We can find out right now because
Okay.
we're going to bring in Chad and Catherine. Let me make sure I can hear you two.
Hi.
Hi, come on
Hi,
in.
Max.
That's okay. Hey, Chad, Catherine. We have another person coming in. Thank you for this film. Wow, what a film. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
So where do we begin? Healthcare workers. So are you a healthcare worker?
I'm a healthcare worker. Yeah, I'm a nurse practitioner.
Okay. And where are you physically right now?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh. I thought Tampa. I'm so sorry. Where did this, Chad, you wrote it, you directed it. Where did this little gem come from?
Actually, I'm the director. Catherine wrote it. So what happened was we were in the 48-hour film festival. We have a team that we participate in, and we submitted our script into the 48. And the producer at that time was looking for something a little bit more quirky, so he went a different direction. We couldn't have been luckier because we got to take time and produce it the way we wanted to. But Catherine had written the first chapter of a book in which she based the script off of.
These are two actors that you used, right? These are not you, right?
No.
Yes?
No.
These are two actors. Very well done, by the way. Wow. What did you all think about the actors?
Was there something going on with her face? Was there a reason why she had open sores on her face? I was just kind of wondering about.
So,
that.
Chad?
I really reacted at the time, and I thought, what's going on with her?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's a story that is set in COVID time, and she was the actor we brought in from LA. Was a friend of the producer who lives in Tampa. That's the connection, and she perceived that person being an ICU nurse, and so she wanted to have the mask marks, and we wanted her to have mask marks.
That's
And
what I
so-
thought. across the top there. I was like, that's from a mask. Wow, you know.
Yeah. That was
Wow,
Allie. Our
wow.
makeup person was fantastic. She was really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
It looked like it was a dog attack or a patient.
A dog or a patient attack?
Yeah, I didn't see the mask.
Yeah. So here's a couple of things, and this is for you, Catherine. I love how he hums "The Hills Are Alive" when he's talking about Switzerland. Or so there's some context there, which I loved. The other thing is you can't harm the sea turtles in the Alps, which is great. Stay in the present. Now, where did that come, Catherine? Because that starts kind of at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I think having been a healthcare worker during COVID, it was a really stressful time and it was really overwhelming and there was so much uncertainty, and that just trying to stay in the present was a way to stay sane and to try to leave work at work, and when you came home to sort of just be present and not let that overwhelm everything. So I think that was an important part of how I survived and kept my sanity in that time, and my husband making me quesadillas. it was just really just sort of reflecting like a lot of small moments that happened to us through that period. So
Well,
like skipping meals, like working so hard you forgot what time it is and things like that. That really came through.
right. I loved when he said, "Talk about your day." What a way to share moments which you're not a part of, which was good. And I did not make the reference that the female was a nurse until at the end when you put that notification on there. But it was good. It was vulnerable. She's in her underwear. When I started watching it, I was moved by how just slow and easy, and it made me want more about it. What did you all think that were here? What did you think about it?
I was confused in the beginning. Her face distracted me.
Mhm.
I wanted to know what was going on, and I didn't know until it was over.
Yeah. And why would
What
she
went
come
on.
home and go right to the laundry?
Yeah,
You tell her
yeah.
that she had just taken her clothes off. Maybe you
Yeah.
did this, right? When
It
you
was
come
too
home
much
from
of a
your
giant
job,
leap for
you
me.
could go right to the laundry. That's interesting.
So Catherine, that's how you took care of yourself when you got home? You just
yeah, I think especially at the very beginning of COVID, a lot of people we didn't know how easy it was to transmit in those first few months. So people were really just get your things off as soon as possible. Like a lot of coworkers and friends were talking about, just going right to their garage and stripping and just sort of that kind of thing. So reflecting that.
Just people did that period in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Chad, are you you're definitely a filmmaker. You're a director. What do you do in Pittsburgh?
So I'm my day job is I'm an attorney, and I've been making films now since 2017. I think that was my fourth directing effort. I've been part of 8 films. I love it. I love film. I love film history. I love cinema. I can't get enough of it. And I couldn't believe that I had an opportunity to actually direct my wife's work. And it was that was the most special of the films I've done.
Oh, wow. So that is your wife.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. What I was moved with was your pace. The pace was so good. It was almost like about nothing, but about everything at the same time. Not a Seinfeld episode about nothing, but it was so warmly done. Any comments from anybody out here? Peanut Gallery?
I love the end with the head on the shoulder. There's just nothing like that.
Yeah. Be present. Be in the moment.
Gosh.
Anybody? No? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chad.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us. And I look forward to seeing your future pieces.
Thank you so much for including us, Banks.
Yep. Take care.
That was wonderful. Wow.
So yeah, it is wonderful to meet the filmmaker. This is what makes this festival special. you go and you get to meet them. Sometimes you get to meet the filmmakers. Sometimes the actors will come in. Now,
Oh, yeah.
now-
Even
now-
people lined up here at this event. They bring their whole crew and everybody here, you know.
Like it
Or
is.
sometimes
There
it's
was
just
the
the
Jewish
writer or
Film
somebody.
Festival, the Florida Film Festival.
Right.
Remember that, right?
Right.
Southeast Asian Film Festival, they're all there. I had a hard time though after the fact that she was referencing COVID. I'm like, okay, oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh,
I
5
don't
years
know
ago.
if- Yeah, if like we have to backtrack to really get into that film.
A lot of us have put that out of our
Yeah,
minds.
yeah.
Years, are like, what?
Yeah.
Did they make it too late?
Oh, the film?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
You think it's timely?
I think it's timely. I mean,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I think it's very
Coming out of
timely.
COVID, the healthcare workers have no break.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, of any kind. They still, I'm sure, I mean, maybe not as crazy or scary, but
Yeah. So let's move on to this next one.
they don't get any break.
We have the filmmaker, actually the representative of the filmmaker. Hey, Walter, good to see you. We're gonna watch the film now. This is it's about 14 minutes, 13 minutes long. Hang in there. I want a lively discussion. I would love Walter. Be ready because I'd love to discuss this afterwards. So enjoy. Here we go.
Oh, wow.
I haven't been able to see my son in 6.5 years.
And that's due to visitation.
Yes.
There should not be any restrictions, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, lifelong restrictions from visits.
You're punishing the individual, but you're punishing that family. Is that rehabilitative in what you're doing?
Restrictions on visiting my brother in prison has been so hard on me and my family. And I can't even see him or hug him or tell him that I love him. We don't get phone calls. It is just the most devastating and heartbreaking thing I've ever had to deal with.
So having an incarcerated child has been the most painful experience of my life. For me, it's been physically exhausting. It's impacted my own sleep. It's impacted my health. It's impacted our entire family.
That every day that he did inside, I did outside. And including the experience of the stress, the anxiety.
The visitation restrictions have affected my mental health in the way that I feel lonely. I don't feel like I have the support that I once had when I could rely on 4 to 8 hours a weekend. You know, every other weekend I was driving, making that long 4-hour drive to see him because it was worth it.
How long will you not be able to see him in person?
I will not be able to see my son as it is today with the policy in place indefinitely, ever.
That's terrible.
And if he's made to do the duration of his time, it will be 2040 when he comes home. And I will be 80 as mother and son. I mean, he doesn't know anything about our daily events. I don't know anything about his daily events, happenings in the family he's not aware of, that sort of thing. There's times that I have to just hand it to a higher power.
Everyone needs a hug from their mom, their sister, their family. Everybody does. And without it, you just feel like you're alone.
You lose so much in communication as well when you can't see them and their nonverbal cues. That communicates so much more than just the words on the phone. Since we've lost the visits, his mood has declined. His mental health is regressing. He's sleeping all of the time, and I just don't hear that spark. So it's also affected my mental health as well.
How can there be connections? How can people flourish? How can people have hope when they can't see their loved ones?
How do you explain to a 2-year-old that you can't visit your parent? Many people have actually lost loved ones without even having visits prior to their death. That level of torment, you can't explain it.
And Miguel does have a child. Yes, he gave me a grandchild before he went in, and so she was 9-10 months when he went to jail, and then so he hasn't seen her since then. When I get her, and her dad calls, I'm like, oh, your dad's calling. She's like, can we go see him? And that's just so tough because it's like, how do I explain that to you? Visitation should never be taken, ever, for any reason. It is essential. It's a human rights issue. And severing those connections is detrimental, not only to those incarcerated, but to the family members. Process for family members is confusing from the start. You don't know that you can't wear holes in your jeans. You don't know that you have to buy a food card. You don't know, and even with all the information that's available through the website for MDOC, every facility has its own rules. And so you don't know what's allowed and what's not.
It is so terrible to be at such a disconnect from someone you spent your entire life with.
Your 15-minute phone calls on the phone is what we're allotted. That's it. So it doesn't give us time to really get into any topics. If we have an issue, we can't get into it. Sometimes I just don't even bring things up because I know there wouldn't be enough time to really process.
Guys who don't get visits become more agitated. That contact is important. I spent 33 years in the Michigan prison system. I've been in just about every prison they got in the state. And you can see the difference between a guy who has a visit and a guy who doesn't. Staff can attest that visits are about the best management tool they can have because that family contact calms a person down.
The more people have visits, the less problems there is in the prison. When people are looking forward to visits, when they don't have visits, they don't care. So taking them away just doesn't make sense for the safety inside or community safety.
And I know it's got to be worse when he's by himself. He never did well on his own. He always had his family. So restricting him of that can't be good for him.
We watched him slip from, I can do this, I can get into programs, I can make it through this, to hopelessness in a way. Even he wouldn't make phone calls because I think reaching out was too painful even then. And when visits are restored, he's up in the morning and he's back engaged and he's eating, and it's quite interesting to see how much it does impact him even physically.
Michigan talks about having a safer Michigan. A safer Michigan is when children is able to see their parent because guess what? They don't have the same behavioral problems. They don't have the same problems in school if they don't. So that creates a safer Michigan when they get to see their parents.
The worst form of torture that you experience inside a prison is mental. And if you don't have the ability to compartmentalize your life, you'll fall apart in there. And I watch many men go down a path of self-destruction because they're not being given the tools they need to better themselves.
And so getting into the same room with people that you trust already and that you love is calming to the nervous system, and it allows for the brain to process in a different way. The prison system being what it is, everyone's on high alert. The system is scanning for what's going wrong. And when you get that 2-hour break from the intensity of and the sound, the loudness of prison, and you just get to be loved and you can take a deep breath, I think it allows fertile ground for change to happen.
I absolutely do not believe that visit restrictions are helpful at all.
So if you could tell the legislators one thing about visitation, what would you want to share with them?
Just emphasizing just the importance of just connection. It's so vital for them, and it's like they're like, I forget who said it, but he really said it best. It's like we've already incarcerated these individuals, and people like my son, for a crime that they've done, and they're doing their punishment. This is their punishment, to be incarcerated. They shouldn't have to be dehumanized and not be able to have connections to people who love them or whom they love and need, so that they can just be whole.
I have tried to appeal the restriction. I have sent letters to representatives, to the governor, to the director of MDOC. I have contacted outside supports in California. I'm getting no response, and I know that he's also been trying to go through all of the proper procedures. It's more rehabilitative, I believe, for a prisoner to be able to stay in touch with their loved ones, have that meaningful human contact for their well-being, their happiness. Thomas told me that those visits, being able to be out in the visiting room, helps him feel human again. Why, if somebody, for instance, has substance use tickets, why are you taking me to visits? Like, that seems so arbitrary to me.
So my message to legislators are, if we truly want justice, restorative justice, people coming home in a better situation, because 80% of the people that are incarcerated in Michigan are coming home. Let's have them come home with great mental health, taking care of the substance use disorders if there's any, in a way to easily come back to family. See, if you're connected throughout your incarceration, that reentry isn't as hard.
For every day that an individual goes without having that family connectedness, it impacts that person's ability to re-enter. It impacts that family. It impacts children. And I think if we understood the magnitude of how one day of an experience with this, how it impacts us, not currently, but for generations to come, we will definitely revise and totally change our system.
I think the legislature should take into consideration how it would affect them if they didn't have contact with their families. If they were put out on a desert island somewhere by themselves, with no connection and no contact with no human being, how would that affect them? Because being incarcerated is like being on that desert island. The only person you really have there is yourself, because the rest of the people are just trying to survive like you are.
People make mistakes, and they're still lovable, and they're still worthy of human connection. To have a human being who loves you and believes in you, make eye contact and say, I'm here and I got you and I love you and you got a whole life ahead of you.
Be the voice for your loved one. You can impact change on their behalf, but we have to be their voice. To say to families, don't give up. It was so important for me to be able to, because this system, I couldn't understand it, let alone navigate it. And I always figured this is the way to go around it, over it, through it, under it. Don't give up. Don't give up hope.
And we are back. Wow, what a movie.
That was top, man. Wow. Whose big idea was that?
That was my idea. I
No,
mean,
but
my
meant,
idea to
no,
bring
but
it.
I mean,
Uh,
why would they stop visits? I mean, how can that be
Let's
productive?
find out.
Yeah,
Walter,
this is nuts.
who was in the film,
Yeah,
Walter,
he's with us.
we
Okay,
have
great.
him.
Thank
Walter,
you.
we're going to bring you in right now. Hey, Walter. Say something so we can hear you.
How you doing?
There we go.
There you go.
Hey,
Thank you.
so you were in the movie.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, so the big question is, Shayla asked, why do they not allow to have visitation rights?
Well, let me first say, that Bryce Mackey, the director, the filmmaker, he's a very great person. He has not been affected by the prison system in Michigan, but he's friends with the executive director of Citizens for Prison Reform.
Mm-hmm.
And through his contact with her, he became interested in this because he was like most people, why are they affecting visits like that? So it was his idea to come up with interviewing people to get some idea of what's been going on. And through this film, we've been getting a lot of interest from legislators, from the general public, for the very reason, why is this being done? Now, a little background is this began back in 1995 when the state brought in a director from another state who had this idea of restricting visits. So at that time, anybody who wanted to come see you could come see you, as long as they had a valid ID.
Right.
And like anybody under the age of 18, as long as they was accompanied by an adult, they can come visit.
So I mean, I'm going to go with devil's advocate here and think, okay, so things are getting into prison because they're coming in through visitation, correct?
It's like a 50-50 split, because even with the restrictions they have right now, things are still being brought in.
Okay.
The department knows their staff brings stuff in. That's one of the main ways stuff get inside prisons.
So you cannot put the blame on visitation. You could put it on partly, okay?
Right. I agree.
Now, something which was brought up, I think you might have brought it up, a management tool. This is to manage the inmates. This is a tool you can use. So if you act up in being incarcerated, you don't get visitation rights. So it's almost like you behave yourself and we'll give you this visitation right. Correct?
Correct. But using substance abuse as the vehicle for that is completely wrong, because you could have a valid prescription that expires and you haven't had the opportunity to go to healthcare to get it updated. They'll write you a substance abuse ticket and you lose your visits. Now, you legitimately have this medication, but you're waiting to be called out to health services to renew it. They don't try to hear that. They like, you had this in your possession, therefore you're getting this misconduct. So it's the application of the rule is arbitrary.
I see. So why do they have it? For control?
That was the story they put out there, was that it was to control the substance abuse. But it's a blanket substance abuse. Like, it's not targeting illicit drugs. It's targeting anything. Say you have a cup in your cell and an officer comes through and says it smells like alcohol. You have a substance abuse misconduct. There's no proof there was alcohol in it, but because this officer said so, now you receive misconduct, lose your visits.
I see. Anybody want to jump in yet? Mary? All right. So these restrictions are only found in Michigan, or do you see them in other states?
There are similar restrictions in other states. Michigan is just the harshest out of everyone in the country.
Really?
Michigan takes it to the extreme. You also have to take into account the fact that the Michigan prison system does not like visits to begin with. It's too much of a headache for them. They make the process of coming into a prison so uncomfortable that most people don't even want to go through it. And for the prisoner, it's the most belittling thing you go through throughout your incarceration to go out on a visit.
Could you explain why is it so belittling?
As far as the prisoner goes, you get yourself prepared to go out there and you go through a search when you go out. When you come back, you go to a full strip search, with a visual body cavity search.
Right.
So it's very degrading, but you go through that because you want to see your family.
Right.
Family members, as the lady said in the documentary, they're taken through so many hoops, what they can wear, what they can't wear. Are they approved or not approved? If they go to a facility and the facility says, well, you're not say a person from Detroit drives to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. They've been approved at every prison in Southern Michigan. They get up to a place like Chippewa Correctional Facility. They didn't drove 12 hours. They get there and they're told, well, you're not approved. You just wasted a 12-hour trip one way because they're not going to let you in.
So how do you how do you get clarity that you're approved? Do you have to call them up ahead of time? Can you get through to them?
Well, they have a process where you fill out an application. The application is supposed to be processed by the department and sent back to you. You can get that approval application sent back to you, but if that individual facility does not have you on record, you're not getting in.
All right.
Again, the prisons in Michigan does not operate from a single playbook. Every facility is like an autonomous entity within the department.
I see. Can I ask you some personal questions?
Yes.
You were in prison for 33 years?
Yes.
And what was it that you were in for?
Murder.
All right. All right. How did you get you did your time?
Yes.
And you came out. How does that impact you as far as living now, as far as a job, health care, finding a place to live, these kind of things? Because you are a felon, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Now, I'm what they call a juvenile lifer. I went to prison at the age of 17. The United States Supreme Court made some decisions that made it unconstitutional to give a juvenile life without parole. Other than that, I would still be sitting in there. If it hadn't been for that decision, I would still be incarcerated.
Right. So you're an advocate now for what are you advocating for?
Criminal justice reform. I testified to Michigan legislature every time I get a chance to leave them speechless. The
Right.
Department of Correction is my main target because what they do in this state is completely unheard of.
Compared to all other states.
Yes.
So do you know the governor? Does she know you by first name?
No.
No. Okay.
I've never met her.
All right.
I've met. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You
No,
met,
I've met various representatives and senators who are intrigued.
okay. So how do we? Let's say I'm a legislator in Michigan. How do we change this?
The only way to change this in Michigan is through a statute. When they first changed the visiting rules back, I was told not to get off to the law because then I get off into the weeds. But to answer your question, I have to get into the law.
Okay.
When they first made this change in 95, I was a party to a lawsuit challenging it. Ultimately, the Michigan Supreme Court ruled that the Michigan legislature had ceded their authority to the Department of Corrections over writing rules. So the director of the MDOC is the only state director in Michigan that can write their own rules. The only way the legislature can step in to say, no, you can't do that is to write a statute.
I see. So you're waiting for the legislature to write the statute, have the governor sign it so that they can clean up this criminal justice issue in Michigan.
Yes.
All right. Wow. Do other advocates reach out to you and have you come into Pennsylvania or New Jersey or Iowa?
Some have, but it's like you asked about employment, things of that nature. I just can't financially do it.
Right.
I can't afford it. And I've been fortunate enough to meet people since I've been here, people I have never met in my life, who stepped up to give me a hand up. So I was able to find a job, and I've been with that company for 5 years. I recently purchased a house.
Nice.
So I'm doing pretty good. A lot of people don't have those opportunities, but I had a choice to make. I was not going back inside that place.
Right. And you're well spoken too. So I mean, you're very articulate in the words you use. Questions? Anybody for Walter Miller?
Is there any group that's working with the legislature to change?
Is there a group in working with the legislators to change laws? And I think we're talking about you. You are that group, aren't you? Or
I'm part of the group. The group is Citizens for Prison Reform. Our executive director is Lois Polano. She's like a pit bull.
Really?
She goes in there and she does not, like most of the groups try to placate legislators, tell them what they think they want to hear.
Right.
Lois tells them what they need to hear. And it
Right.
gets a long way than just going in with the same process you've been dealing with for years and not getting anything done.
So Walter, you're with this group that does this, that works for justice, criminal justice reform, and you're like a spokesperson for them, correct?
From time to time, yes.
Right. Because I know the director reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm not going to be there, but I'm going to have somebody represent the movie." And I was like, "Cool."
Yeah.
Anybody? I'd love to talk to anybody in association with it. So that Mary.
Yeah, I was in solitary confinement for 2 weeks due to COVID. I got stuck in Malta. And after those 2 weeks, when I was alone in a hotel room and the Board of Health had to pick me up every week to go to the health department to get tested, and I couldn't talk to anybody, and somebody would leave food in front of my door, they'd leave the broom in front of the door. I had no contact with people for 2 weeks. And after that, I thought, no one should be in solitary confinement. There should be, the worst thing you could do to somebody is to isolate them. Not better to give them death,
Right.
but maybe not.
So do you find that in other countries, the criminal justice reform is a little more, I don't want to use the word lenient, but is it more, what's the recidivism rate for people like yourself in Michigan who get out of prison and then the recidivism rate of them coming back?
Well, people who serve a substantial amount of time, the recidivism rate is like 2%.
Oh, really?
There's
Go ahead.
that means experts agree and legislators agree that you age out of crime. There's a point in your life where it just isn't worth it anymore. When you're a youngster, you're in your youth, you think you're invincible. When you become an old man like myself, you don't have time for that. So we're pushing to have legislation passed that would get opportunity if a person's been locked up 20, 30, 40, 50 years to petition the court to reconsider the sentence they were given. Unfortunately, it died in committee.
Right. I know that there was just a pardon of over 1,000, I think 1,500 people just recently by the president on federal crimes that were, I think, drug related, most of them. And you're starting to see this a lot because, and tell me if I'm speaking out of turn here, is it expensive to incarcerate someone? Are the numbers like $100,000 a year to incarcerate a person?
Roughly. And then you have to add in somebody that's got an illness. You got to add to that the cost of healthcare.
Right. Which they get healthcare, dental care, you get all of it. Now, do you get emotional care? Because you talked about this in the film, or mental health. Do you get mental health care in prison?
You get a form of mental health care, but you have to actually seek it out. They have what they're called mental health units, resident treatment program, where these people have serious mental illness and they're heavily medicated. That is the department's focus. A guy in general population dealing with mental issues, if it's not already written down that he has them, they'll never know.
Right.
And throughout most of my incarceration, I worked as a jailhouse lawyer, so to speak, a prisoner paralegal. So I was dealing with people who had issues that had nobody to talk to. And ultimately, I became the one they would come talk to. It's still a stigma in there like it is out here about seeking mental health treatment.
Right.
You don't want to do it because you don't want to be called, he's nuts.
Right. Any other questions, comments from the peanut gallery?
I'm just so impressed that this is live. Walter, can you see us at all?
No.
He can see Banks.
He can see me here. Hey, there you go. There we go. Yeah. Did you want to say something to Walter?
I'm just
Fascinated.
I'm very impressed with you, Walter.
Keep up the work.
You sound like a great person.
I think eventually something will turn up, I think.
Can I say something?
Yeah, Walter, of course.
Somebody brought up COVID. And COVID gave a lot of people some idea what it was like to be incarcerated.
Yeah.
And I sat back and I can't lie, I laughed at a lot of my family members because they were just losing it. And I'm like, I did 2 years in SEG. So what you went through for 30 days ain't nothing.
Right.
And they finally got some idea of the isolation, being unable to contact anybody, fending for yourself. you know, and just that was a reality check for the entire planet.
Yeah, we are social creatures, and there are a few of us that are hermits. Anybody in this class, in this room? No. Very few of us are hermits, and we need the connection with other people. And a couple of the mothers, and I think maybe the sister in there, spoke about how their brother or son needed other people, and we do. We all need other people.
Yes.
For that. Anyway, yes.
I have a question.
Question.
You said that you can seek mental health, but you have to ask for it. Is that right? Are you told that when you come in that you can do that, but you need to ask for it? I mean, do people know that?
Walter, did you hear that? You need to seek mental health. So how would they know?
Are they told when they come in?
Correct. In prison.
A lot of them don't.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
you as the
come in-
paralegal would help them, navigate them through the system. Now, you talk about the prison system as a system, and each one is different. In the Finger Lakes is, I don't know Michigan very well. So you're not sure if you go to a prison to get in, what the rules and regulations are for that prison, correct?
Correct.
So they're different. They're not uniform.
Well, see, this is where the problem comes in. You have the department policy, which every facility has to comply with department policy.
Mm-hmm.
But each facility has the authority to write its own internal operating procedure. That's where the confusion comes in. So a warden at this facility can say, okay, my operating procedure is going to say if you got on Nike gym shoes, you can't get in. That's his individual operating procedure.
Right.
Or it can be as arbitrary as that.
Right. Like smells a cup in the cell with alcohol and say you have alcohol in it. It's arbitrary. Got it.
Yes.
Got it. Well, anyway, I will let you go. Walter, thank you so much. You've educated us. We are definitely thank you. We're grateful for what you do. And criminal justice is something that very important. Yeah. Anyway, maybe we should look at Norway, see what they do, or the Scandinavian countries, because I know that they have some work programs to get them out to work, to find because what we miss is purpose.
Yes.
And I'm saying this in general. I've never been incarcerated, but if you have a purpose in jail, then you'll have a reason to give or to help the community. Anyway,
I also advocate for restorative justice.
Yes,
from out of the South African model, because here in the United States, they want to separate the crime victim from the perpetrator, and a lot of times the victim of crime just wants to know why. So they won't allow them to sit down and have that conversation.
Right.
And when those conversations do take place, because I've known people whose victims has reached out to them and they ended up becoming friends once they understood why.
Yeah.
They got their questions answered and they advocated for the person's release.
Right.
But
right,
because
exactly.
our system is set up the way it is, you have us against them.
Yeah.
But it should be everybody working as a community to fix what the problem is, instead of just throwing people away and sticking them in the cell for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Walter, you got the last word in.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Take care, Walter. Walter Miller.
Wow.
Wow.
How does he stay in Michigan? Wow.
Jeez.
He
People live through
remarkable.
some stuff, man.
Yeah.
33 years.
33 years he was incarcerated for at 17. So
How did you set this up today, right now? I mean, for this?
how did I set it up? There's a couple of programs on my computer, or you can buy. This one's called StreamYard. And StreamYard has it so that I can bring people in anytime. They have to be in a waiting room. And if you look in these are waiting rooms, and I can just hit it and add that person to it. We can talk, we can discuss the films, we can discuss anything. Zoom is another one, and there's a couple of other ones too. But yeah, I kind of took films and said, hey, how can we make this film more connected to us? let's bring in the filmmakers or the representative of the film.
During COVID
Yeah.
as well. Those are some great choices. Wow.
So anyway, this is farewell. Thank you all for being a part of this, even if you stumbled upon it. This is the last live screenings here at the library. Thank you to the Winter Park Public Library.
Yes, thank you, library.
Thank you to all of those in the past who have been a part of it, have been filmmakers who have talked, who have shown up, who have participated. We thank you. And how should we go out? We'll go out with something like that.